because the ant biomass of 10 quadrillion ants are much bigger, much more than the biomass of 7.5 billion people. But when the ant is constructing its own house for living, or ant, whatever activity is doing to try to collect the food, store it, they all do it in a very sustainable way. So they live in harmony with the nature. They built their own houses around the environment. So that's what, whether we can learn from ants, that's what we are trying to tell. So the human activities in the last thousands of years, especially the last 100 years, has led us to a lot of devastation, deforestation. We started emitting more and more emissions. We wanted more air conditioners. We wanted more vehicles. So that has led to digging out more oil. We have started using more fossil fuels. In turn, their emissions has gone up. So that is the reason the summers are more hot here. Last week, it was unbearable, 42 degree, 45 degrees centigrade in Hyderabad. So what we are trying to tell us, this planet Earth is not only for human beings. The entire resources and the entire support system and human beings is one small element in the whole matrix of the overall ecosystem. So even the coronavirus, as the principal madam, Ms. Sunita Rao madam highlighted, we have not given a due care, especially our own generation. Young kids, you are all intelligent enough. You are all great people. The world is much more safer on your younger hands. Whereas our generation, maybe we are not taken care of many of such issues, which has a negative impact. The global warming, the seawater temperature rising, the scarcity of water, the emissions from the power plants, the emissions from the overusage of vehicular usages, all this has a negative impact on our health and well-being. So what kind of water we take, what kind of food we take, what kind of air we breathe is going to ensure that how healthy we are going to be there for the next 80 years or 100 years, if not more. So that is the reason we wanted to share with you all many of the measures you may know from the Green Schools perspective, from the Indian Green Building Council, the IGBC. We wanted to share, some of them may look very simple, but simple measures are the one which will be able to implement and which is fully under our control. We can right now act on it immediately. So that's what we wanted to share. So we have done a lot of analysis in many of the cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad. The photograph, what you see on the black and white, is a Bangalore in a peak morning hours traffic. All of us, we take our own car in many of the cities to drop our children and get to our offices. The cars we take out, we travel at the speed of an average 10 kilometers per hour. So what is the speed of a bicycle when we ride? When we ride a bicycle to our schools or offices, we drive at 10 to 15 kilometers per hour. Whereas in many of the cities, the metros, especially in India, we are driving our car at the speed of a bicycle. So we are putting more and more petrol, diesel, or a gas, which are all fossil fuel based, and driving at the speed of a bicycle and emitting a lot from our vehicular pollution. So we in Indian Green Building Council encourage students, staffs, administrators, and each one of us, beyond the school children also, all of us, we would love to have an alternate green transportation which is sustainable in nature. We are not saying that everybody should walk, everybody should bicycle, which may not be safer, which may, due to various reasons. The Hyderabad kind of roads are not a plains, it is an undulated land, and some of our houses may be very far from our schools. So wherever possible, try to use our school buses or public transport, or move away from our individual private cars or bikes, which are all fossil fuel driven. So that itself, one simple act, thousands of people coming to our own schools, moving away from our individual vehicle into a public transport or green or sustainable transportation, will be a much more safer environment for all of us, number one. Number two, especially in the summer, water is scarcity. Many of us are not even having an access to potable water. Drinking water is not available for our own countrymen. So how do we save water? So for example, when I wanted to buy a small computer or any gadget for my son, he always ensures that what are the computer's systems, what it contains, what are the elements, what are the attachment, what are the speakers. So what I humbly request is, please ensure that every tap is fitted with a small aerator. What you see on my hand is a small aerator, which will cost you only 15 rupees, 1 5. So every tap in our school, our office, or your own mums and dads' offices where they go, ensure that they are all fitted with a small aerator, which will cost you only 15 rupees a piece, but it will save more than a liter in one day actually. The beauty is, even if each one of us listening to this presentation, we save 1 liter of water, potable water a day, India's population is almost 1.3 billion. So in a day, we will be able to save how much? 1.3 billion liters of water a day by just putting a small aerator, which is small in size, but it has a great impact. So these are all easily doable. Please check it out. When you are living in your house for a long time during a lockdown, all our taps, whether they are all fitted with aerators, please ask your mom and dad or check it out yourself. This can be easily fitted in your existing taps also. Please let us all ensure, take a pledge and vote to attach a aerator to all our taps and fixtures in our own house to start with. Because green starts from our own home, which we call it our own street home. Next is, whenever you choose a fixtures, go for a dual plumbing line or a dual flushers or urinals in our schools and washrooms, showers. All of them should consume very little water. Third is appliances. When you want to buy a bike or a car, definitely we choose the specification, colors, what color of a car, what color of a bike I should choose. Same way when you are going to buy a lamp, when you are planning to buy a ceiling fan, when you are planning to buy a refrigerator in your house, planning to buy an air conditioner, please ensure that all of them are 5-star certified. So the higher the star, lower the power consumption. So by design, choose a energy efficient appliances and equipment. There is another big decision what you are going to make. When our appliances in our house or an office is going to consume very little energy, there is another way of conserving Mother Nature or preserving the Mother Nature. Third is, obviously you students are the one who lead a very big campaign all over the country. You always say no to plastics. How do we say no to plastics in a very innovative way? We all learned it from the school children. You come out with very brilliant ideas, very innovative, very futuristic. Please do continue it, make it more effective. Next is on enhanced daylighting. Many of our Indian students and adults are also having a deficiency in vitamin D. Which is the biggest source for vitamin D? The daylight. India, is being a tropical country, it is flooded with enormous amount of daylight, 365 days in a year. So all of us should be exposed to more and more daylight. So the daylight is available in abundance in India, in the tropical countries like us. So every school children and all of us who is listening to the presentation, let us get exposed to daylight as much as possible, especially the places of learning like the schools and colleges. Nowadays, the IGBC's Green School Rating Program encourages more and more features to bring in enormous amount of daylight so that all our body skin is exposed to daylight, natural daylight, and we all get sufficient vitamin D, number one. And in the process, we don't want the artificial lights to be switched on in our classrooms or in our house during the daytime. Next is on fresh air. We are not against air-conditioned schools or classrooms or homes, but whenever weather yesterday and today is more comfortable. So even you see that our air conditioner is put off. I put off the air conditioner in the office where I'm sitting, and the windows are open. It brings in enormous amount of fresh air through the two windows which are just behind my head actually. So try to be in a fully ventilated where the fresh air is available in abundance or in plentiful. That brings in enormous amount of freshness to us actually. Fresh air is important. Housekeeping chemical, they are very, very important when you talk about a school or a college. Even in our homes also, we give least importance to this actually. So what kind of chemicals we are bringing into our house to clean our kitchen, clean our floors, clean our washrooms? Please ensure that they are all Green Pro certified. They are all people friendly, because housekeeping chemicals, some of us may be touching in our hand or by a cloth, or even the mobbed housekeeping chemicals may be put off into our own water bodies. So if we are using a heavy highly chemical based housekeeping chemicals, it may even go to pollute our water bodies, which may not be good for the species like the frogs and the fishes which are all living on the ponds or on the nala. So we have to take care of them as well. Next is on the biggest challenge every city today is facing is how do we manage the waste? Waste handling is the biggest challenge. All the photographs, what you see here is all coming from our own schools actually. Many schools, you have brought up beautiful elements, how you segregate dry and wet waste, how you can make even the paper waste generated in the schools. You have put some of the schools have put a recycled paper unit in their own school classrooms. One of the classrooms has the recycling paper plant. Some of the schools, they generate the biomass from the organic waste generated. Or if you have a hostels, you can generate enormous amount of biomass so that a lot of gas cylinders, LPG gas cylinders can be knocked off. Next is on how do we conserve the compost. Even having a compost or even innovative measures are there which can convert the organic waste into a vermicompost which can be used as a manure in our entire landscape. If your school has a huge landscape area like your DPS Nacharam or Pallavi schools, you have a huge lawn, you have a huge ground. So all those organic waste generated can be converted into compost so that we can put this compost in our landscape, which will be more greener, and we need not buy any chemical-based manures at all. Next is on enhancing the biodiversity. The theme for the World Environment Day today is all about celebrating biodiversity. Some of the schools, they have a wonderful butterfly garden. Many of the worms are going away because we have put more and more concrete, we have put more and more roads, we are designing more for the cars rather than the people actually. So we are losing many of the species like birds, butterflies. So how we can bring back them? So many of the schools, the full credit goes to all the schools like yours. You have done phenomenally well in bringing in a gardens which are thematic like butterfly, herbal garden, organic farming, all of that which enhances again a biodiversity. And all the school children, you are all brilliant and you take care of, apart from your academics, you go for educational tour. Many of the school children have come to our own center. You have gone to many interesting places, which brings in enormous amount of pleasure to you, which are educative, as well as it also encourages you to more of these kind of activities. And you do participate in all our IGBC Green Your School contest, poster competition, painting competition, elocutions or whatnot. So this will also enhance your intellect and incline more and more towards preserving, conserving nature and nature's resources. Some of the other innovative measures is leg-operated switches. Even before the coronavirus, which has taught us we should not touch or we should not have come closer to the people, the social distancing has come into place only for the last 2 months. Whereas these are the measures which has been done in many of the schools long time ago, even before the coronavirus has come into place, like leg-operated switches, renewable energy, or innovative solar harvesting system, or having a funnel kind of a system which acts like a shading device as well as which captures the entire rainwater which is coming into our school campus and collects every droplet of water coming into our school site, and the innovative irrigation, drip irrigation systems, or how do we treat the wastewater generated in the school. Especially the school generates enormous amount of wastewater through our kitchen, cafeteria, from the washrooms. How do we treat it? Many schools have done it very beautifully. And resource reuse. The famous Indian proverb is all about there is nothing called waste in our nature. So we especially the Indian ethos has taught us there is nothing called waste in the nature. What I consider as a waste, it is a useful thing for somebody else or some other resources. So the schools have done fabulous ideas, giving a new life to the old tires, plastic, whatnot, all the functional and ornamental elements, right from a bottle to tire. You've given them a new life by bringing them something and adding more value to that, which we call it as a repeated reuse. And the daylight is being bought by this kind of a pipe. When a water can travel in a pipe and gas can travel in a pipe, why not sunlight? So this kind of a pipe takes the sunlight deep inside your classrooms, deep inside your office space, deep inside your labs. So this has been done in many schools and offices. This can be done. And many of your schools, including this, they are completely daylit. Daylight is the one which brings in enormous amount of freshness to you. When you are fresh, the amount of energy you put in is much better, and you will be able to observe your studies, or you will be able to attend to your classes much better also when your spaces, classrooms are daylit as well as they are well ventilated, fresh ventilated also. Again, some of the schools are beautifully done in an innovative way to treat the grey water and the black water generated. So this is our own office building. You're all most welcome after the lockdown is over. Whenever the travel is safe, please come to our office to see the phytoremediation. It is not a, it looks like a landscape when I show the photograph, but it's not a landscape. There is an STP actually. This is a sewage treatment plant. The entire organic waste, water is traveling through the bottom of this plant, and the plants, they pump in more oxygen through the leaves and the stems. And in the process, the grey water becomes a clear, pure water, which meets all the pollution control board norms. So we are not using any electrical power, number one. We are not using any chemicals at all to treat the black water generated from our washrooms. This is a natural way of treating the entire grey water generated. This is how it looks. The treated water meets all the pollution control board norms. And next is some of the school children have brought up wonderful ideas and won our Green Your School contest of IGBC by bringing in a plastic has been used as a payment in the schools, and even having a bicycle to use to pump the water from the sump to the overheads. So every student is asked to pedal the cycle to convert the energy in order to drive the pump, in order to lift the water for a few minutes a day. So these are all the beautiful innovations has been brought in, and you are the one who encouraged a lot of saplings you gave last year in your, when we came to your own school also. Planting more trees is being encouraged. Reduce the emissions wherever possible, be it through the transportation, be it, for example, some of the pen and pencil I wanted to show you here. You may be aware, these are all made out of a consumer waste. Can you believe it? These are all not made out of wood. This was a CD. This was a plastic. These are all treated. A waste is given a new life to make as one of the wonderful equipments. So these are the, how do we protect the water bodies? We in IGBC encourage a lot of activities. School children have done an enormous job to protect water bodies, especially the small and micro water bodies in and around Hyderabad can be protected. Even a simple act like putting off the lamps or TVs or computers when it is not in use, that can save enormous amount of energy. We may be thinking that they are all consuming only few wattages. Even many times in our own house also, when you are watching a movie, after going out, after the movie is over, we put off the remote, but the TV is on, the computer is on in a standby mode. Please put off the main power so that there is no inherent losses. It may be few wattages, but million computers and million TVs and million, even the charger for your mobile, don't leave it with switched on if it is not under charging actually. So these are small acts which can save enormous amount of energy and preserve. So these are the top 10 activities we would encourage the students to take it out. You know it very well, but do it very meticulously. Do it on every single day. Let us all take a pledge and oath. We will not move out from these activities. So living in harmony is being encouraged, because once livelihood, especially in the COVID, has taught us a lot of lessons with respect to lives and livelihoods. So when you live in harmony with nature, then only you will be able to enjoy. When you are able to enjoy the most, when you are in, then you will be at the highest passionate and you the highest energy levels. When you are at the highest energy levels, things become more easier. So we in Indian Green Building Council are more interested in enhancing your health and well-being. We are not interested only in the building infrastructure of your school or a road or a transportation. How happy you are, how hygiene we are. The hygiene will help us to become more healthier. The hygiene coupled with more healthier will make us our well-being in a much better way in the long run. So we in Indian Green Building Council, which is popularly known as IGBC, is all available for you. This is our own IGBC's headquarters building in Hyderabad, in the high-tech city. All of you are welcome. Whenever the lockdown is over, you are all most welcome to see. We do a lot of initiatives. These are all the wonderful programs done by school children like you, and won a lot of laurels based on your innovative and futuristic ideas. So we have a lot of programs to initiate. We in IGBC define what is a green school. A green school is a one which addresses the health and hygiene of the children, conserves all the natural resources, uses less water, optimizes energy efficiency, and generates less waste during the school operation. So that is how we do it. So by adopting our IGBC school standards, physically, every student will be more fitter. When you are physically fit, the intellectually you will become much better actually. You will be able to do much better in your academics, much better in your education. So the physically and intellectually, when you are good, emotionally, how you are able to handle, that is the biggest challenge we are all facing. The emotionally, people, many of us are intellectually and education-wise, we are much better. Emotionally, how we are able to handle the situation is most important, especially in a tougher days to come. So the physical well-being, intellectual and emotional well-being is addressed by going green, and spiritual also. So this is how we say that by becoming more and more greener and more coming closer to the nature, we'll all become physically more fitter, intellectually much better, and emotionally and spiritually well equipped, so that we are all able to provide a much more healthier spaces, and the homes become much healthier, the society and the community will become more happier. So the benefits of the green school is the basic facilities like drinking water, healthy foods, washroom facilities are all available for every school children. Some of the schools in the remote areas and some of the villages, I am equally patriotic, but they are not available for all the students actually. That's ironical. So in a green school, this should be available for each one of our citizen and every student walking into a school. Infrastructure facilities like the desk, everything is available, facility for physical activities, and the operational cost. Since it is a green school, you will consume less energy and less water. On top of it, going green is seeded in every young mind, like the students, you are all listening to you. So the performance of the school children are much better. When the green school, which has a lot of these elements, which has adopted our IGBC's green school rating program, the students will be able to do much better in academics as well. So these are all the numbers done not by, I'm not showing some just the numbers. These are all physically done by HR and a medical team. People are able to be more happier, healthier, and do very well in the education also. When you walk into a green school, one such school, we are handling more than 300 schools. The DPS Nacharam school, we are very proudly and pleased to mention that we are associated with the school and the school management, the chairman and the entire students and the teachers and the staff and the principal are committed in sustaining the green activities, and it is an IGBC platinum rated school. It's one of the wonderful school to have all the facilities and all the green features. So by going green, my humble request to each one of the students is, by adopting green measures, how long we'll talk about the scarcity of water and energy and emissions. So we have, by going green and bringing in these principles which are very small in nature, we will move from scarcity to abundance. By doing all this, water will be available in abundance for all of us. We can take the water from the tap and drink it, from the tap to lip. So this water will be available in abundance when we all go green. Energy will be available, we'll be more happier, we'll be more healthier. And this is how our office looks by a drone or by an aerial shot. So if I not told you, it looks like a biodiversity park, isn't it? Whereas we are 100 of us, we walk into this office every single day. I am taking this webinar from this office actually. So it looks like a biodiversity park. We have a water body, we have a birds. We are able to attract enormous amount of butterfly. We are able to attract some of the snakes also, which has ran away from some other places. So we have thousands of new species identified in the plants. So it is a beautiful biodiversity park. It is designed and operation in harmony with nature. When we all design and we all operate in a much more greener way, we will be more becoming closer to the nature. That's what we wanted to impress upon. Let us all go green and move more closer to the nature. When we all more to the closer nature, we will be conserving enormous amount of natural resources. We'll be able to do very better things. We'll be able to do many things much more with a lesser amount of resources. And by enhancing the sensitivity through this kind of a webinars or through various activities in the schools like DPS, so the young students, our chairman and we in IGBC always believe in the planet Earth is on much more safer hands of young students who are all listening to this. So by going more greener, we are bringing in a system in place so that you'll be able to enhance your health and well-being in the long run. So the life is for another 8 years as an individual, and we all should live in a much more healthier way, much more happier way. Whatever you pursue in future, please have a green element in that act also. So let us all act now in order to make our world more greener, more happier. And I would love to sum it up by quoting our own father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough resources on the planet Earth for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. That's what he said hundreds of years ago. So the world has enough resources. When you all grow up, you want to have your own house, office, factory, whatever you want to do. World has enough resources for all of that. But let us do it in a much more greener way so that we'll all able to sustain and we'll all able to give a much more better, greener planet Earth to the children to be born and the next generations to come. So we in IGBC, the Indian Green Building Council of CI, will be more than happy to associate with all the school children, whatever you wanted to do. So let us all go green. Visit our website, igbc.in, or write to me on my email ID for any further support. So once again, we in IGBC are very proud to be associated with DPS on this particular World Environment Day on the theme of Time for Nature. So let us all celebrate biodiversity. That is what the enhancing the biodiversity only brings in a joy and pleasure to us also, the human beings. Thank you once again. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. I don't think anybody could have made a more age-appropriate presentation, and I'm sure you related.